Welcome to this Angular Carousel component tutorial. In this video, I will show you how to customize the time interval between slide transitions, the autoplay settings, animations, and partially visible slides in the carousel component. You will also learn how to customize indicators and navigators using a template, and how to display play buttons for the slideshow. First, I open an existing Angular app, where I have already added an Angular Carousel component with 4 image items inside the carousel item tags. To learn the basics of adding a Syncfusion Angular Carousel to an app, follow the link provided in the card above and description below. Now I run this example using the ng-serve command. See, the images are arranged like a typical slideshow. Notice here that the images change automatically at a regular interval of 5 seconds. To change this interval, I set the interval property to 2 seconds. You can now see the images change every 2 seconds in the carousel. If you want pause the transition by hovering on an image, you can use the pause on hover property. To demonstrate, I set the pause on hover property to true. See, now the transition pauses as I hover over the image. When I do not hover over an image, the slide transitions never stop. To disable the slide transitions after a cycle, I disable the loop property by setting its value to false. Checking now, the slides are no longer repeating continuously. They stop after a cycle. You can also change the slide manually using the navigators or indicators. Here, the autoplay option for the slides is set to true by default. To disable this, I set the autoplay property to false. Checking now, the autoplay of the slides doesn't happen. By default, the slide animation is applied during the slide transitions. The Syncfusion Carousel component also supports fade and custom animations. I'll show you how to set the fade animation. To change the animation settings to fade, I define a property named Carousel Animation with a type Carousel Animation Effect and assign fade to it. To access this carousel animation effect, I import it from the Syncfusion EJ2 Angular Navigations package. I assign this carousel animation property to the animation effect property of the carousel. See, now the slides change with a fade animation. Let me change the animation to custom for customized animation effects. Inside Styles CSS file, I add a parallax class and add animations for previous, next, and current items in carousel. I have also added keyframes rule for parallax in and parallax out. Then I add CSS class property and assign its value to parallax. Checking now, the animation effect has changed to custom. To disable animation effects entirely, we can set the value to none. Now I remove animation effects to explain upcoming features. Next, let's see how to make the previous and next slides partially visible. First, I enable the partial visible property by setting its value to true. Second, I enable the loop property in the carousel component. See, now the previous and next slides are partially visible. Next, let me show you how to customize the indicator buttons. Before that, I remove the partial visible property to demonstrate more clearly. Then, inside the EJ's carousel tag, I define an ng template tag with the name indicators template. Within it, I add a division element with the indicator class. I navigate to the style CSS file and add a few CSS styles like background color, height, and width to the indicator class to customize the indicator buttons. The indicators in the carousel are now customized. Next, I will show you how to display a preview of the images in the indicators. To do that, open the app component TS file. I define the method getThumbnail, which accepts the parameter index. Within this method, I define an array named images and add 4 items to it. This method will return the source path of the images, which I am going to use as thumbnails in the indicators. To access these images and display them as thumbnails, I navigate to the app component HTML file and declare the context variable data in the indicators template. Using this data variable, I can access the data provided by the parent component and use it inside the template section. Within the division element, I add an image tag with basic styles, height, width, and padding. Now I need to reference an image location for the source attribute, so I make a call to the getThumbnail method. I also set the alt attribute and set an appropriate value to it. To align the indicator images, I add a few styles in the styles.css file: background color, height, width, and margin. Checking now, the preview images are displayed in indicators. I can also customize the navigator buttons. I'm going to draw custom buttons with the Syncfusion button component to display the navigators. First, I need to import the button module from the Syncfusion EJ2 Angular Buttons package, because I have already installed the Angular Buttons package, and register it inside the import section. I move to the app component HTML file and add an ng template tag with the name previous button template. Within it, I add an EJ's button component. I set appropriate CSS and icon classes. Similarly, I add another template for the next button. See now, the carousel component renders with customized navigator buttons. Next, I will show you how to display the play button in the carousel component. The carousel images are displayed as a typical slideshow at regular intervals, but I can start or stop the slide transitions by clicking the play and pause button. To add this button, I set Show Play Button to True. To showcase play and pause functionality, I enable the Autoplay option by removing the Autoplay property. You can see the pause button is displayed on the carousel. When I click on it, the slideshow will pause and the play button is displayed. When I click on that, the slideshow starts again. Similar to indicators and navigators, I can also customize the appearance of the play button. I define an ng template tag with the reference ID play button template. Within this template, I add a button component and set its content to pause. I also apply the class info and play button to the CSS class property to customize the button type. Next, I define a click event with the event handler button click. In the app component TS file, I define the button click method. And here, I need to add code to customize the button actions. To achieve this, I need to access instances of the carousel and button components. I add reference variables carousel and play button respectively, and access those component reference using the viewChild directive in the app component TS file. To use viewChild, I import it from the Angular core package. I then define not null variables of type carousel component and button component to obtain their instances. I have also imported these component classes from their respective packages. Inside the button click method, I check whether Autoplay is enabled in the carousel component. If Autoplay is enabled, I set Autoplay to false and change the button content to play. Otherwise, I enable Autoplay and set the button content to pause. You can see that the play button is now customized as specified. In this video, I have shown you how to customize the slide interval between slide transitions and use the autoplay, looping, animations, and partially visible slides features in the Syncfusion Angular Carousel component. You have also seen how to customize indicators and navigators using templates, and how to display the play button for the slideshow. If you would like to see the working example of this, you can download it from the GitHub link in the description below. I have also provided a link where you can see if you qualify for a free license key to use our Angular products through our community license. If you found this video useful, please like and subscribe to our channel. Thanks for watching.